Born on January 15, 1988, his real name is Sonny John Moore, but you probably know him as Skrillex. Throughout his teen years, his friends would call him Skrillex or Skrill or Skrilly. He attended a boarding school in the Mojave Desert in California and became homeschooled at age 14 after being bullied. It wasn't easy at all, and I'm glad he was able to make it past this obstacle early on because I don't know where I'd be without Skrillex. 2 years later, at the tender age of 16, he found out he was adopted, but he didn't let that stop him. He then signed to the legendary Epitaph label with From First to Last and released his first 2 albums. They weren't just nobodies in the alternative rock world. They were a pretty big deal, playing on the Warped Tour bill as well as opening for Fall Out Boy. After leaving From First to Last in 2007, Skrillex pursued his solo career. For his first live show, he played a number of original songs accompanied by a harpist, Carol Robbins. He still managed to rock out on stage with the harpist. Who would have thunk? He kept up with his solo career and wasn't until his first debut album, My Name is Skrillex, where things took a turn for the unexpected. He was faced with an obstacle of having to use bad speakers to mix, where the computer monitors produced sound coming from the headphone jack. He was quoted saying, "You wouldn't necessarily want to work with bad speakers, so it's all about what you're comfortable with." I love this because in the face of adversity, it's truly about how you handle your actions, as you are the only one in full control. He then got connected with Deadmau5, who became interested and signed Skrillex to Mousetrap Records. Later that year, he released his next album entitled Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. This is where the all-too-famous Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites became a monster in the eye of the public, and Skrillex truly embodied Skrillex. He then started DJing on a national scale, touring with Deadmau5. He said that making music is the same as DJing. You continue along the path that leaves you most inspired. When you think too much, you put limits on what is possible. The best parts are always instinctual rather than something too considered or planned out.
Yes! Oh my God!
This puts such a fantastic take on the production side of music, and I completely agree, as sometimes when I finish a project, the process ends up becoming so much more influential than the outcome. With his second album as Skrillex gaining so much popularity, it wasn't a shocker, but instead a well-deserved 5 Grammy nominations and 3 Grammy Awards in his Grammy debut in 2012, one of which was for his best remix recording, non-classical category, of Benny Benassi's featuring Gary Go, Cinema. Kanye West tweeted, "Tonight I'm definitely playing Skrillex," which easily claimed that Skrillex's remix of Benny Benassi's Cinema was one of the greatest works of art ever made.
I could watch you for a lifetime. You're my favorite movie. 1,000 days.
After this, Skrillex was faced with yet another obstacle. In 2011, he wrote on his Facebook, "I spent a week pulling my hair out, but now I'm just focusing on the future and remaking my album." He continued to work diligently and released an EP entitled More Scary Sprites and Monsters in June, and another EP on December 21st of the same year. Skrillex got to work with The Doors during the Regeneration documentary on a track called Breaking a Sweat, which ended up on the successful EP entitled Bangarang. This won Skrillex another 2 Grammys, along with one for his remix of Nero's song Promises, which all fell under my absolute favorite Skrillex. I also love that as a kid he was influenced musically, as I was, and he never stopped trying to become successful, and now he's one of the biggest artists creating and developing the rather new genre of dubstep. To conclude this podcast, I have a quote from Skrillex himself, stating, "I have the most fun when I let my mind check out. Right at that point, things just start to happen."